Hello everybody, welcome to the Wheels and Wings podcast episode 9. We have spent the last half an hour trying to get the audio levels perfect, working through lots of things on Google of people saying you should do this, and then the next post down is people saying definitely don't do that, and then the next post down is going, these don't listen to these people, make sure you do this. So it's just dead frustrating. When you're thick and you don't know anything about this like I am, it's very, very difficult to make it all work. But I'm hoping that the sound quality is good enough and it'll be okay for today.
Yeah. We don't know what we're doing with this stuff, do we? Yeah, airplanes, cars, fine, but like audio recording, podcasts, we don't know what we're doing.
You want me to do a cam belt on your Pinto engine on the side of the road? I can do it.
Is that a euphemism?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so nearly Christmas.
You've been on your work's Christmas Day today?
Yeah. It's just me and my much better half, who's gorgeous, because we work from home.
Nice. Yeah.
Just went out for lunch. There wasn't a photocopier to sit on, so we didn't do that.
Yeah. But we did do a Christmas party here the other day, didn't we? Which is
that was good.
It was good, but I had very... I'm just trying to think when this is going out compared to when the video will, but we can talk about it because I think this will come out later, maybe.
March now, isn't it? It's March. It's getting, spring and flowers.
So we went out in the Mondeo to Anglesey.
Oh, I wanted to ask you about this.
Yeah, so that was... so we had our works Christmas do here and all got... On the Saturday, got obliterated. And the problem being is that track days aren't every day. They come like once or a few times a month, and you've just got to take whichever date's available closest to when you need it. Excuse me. And the Mondeo one was the Sunday, so I got up at 5:30 in the morning, and I was fighting through the sort of the layer over my eyes as I was sort of driving to the workshop to hook the trailer up, and I was hooking the trailer up in the pitch black, so couldn't see a fucking thing. Absolutely. Anyway, couldn't see a thing, so I'm hooking this trailer up, and can you see that there? Yeah. It's healed a little bit now.
A pinch.
Yeah, so when
that's smart.
Fucking hell. At 5:30, when you're just a bit like... I just want to get this done. I just want to get a coffee. I just want to get in the car, sit on the motorway for 2 hours. This is fucking bullshit. Why have we got to do this? Why is it so fucking difficult?
So 5:30, you were fine because you stopped drinking about 8:30, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't dare do anything other than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got. As I click the little button, I do this thing with the Discovery. So it's got air suspension Discovery. It's got 3 height settings.
Yeah.
So when you drop the trailer off, you drop it off maximum height setting on the Discovery.
Yes.
And then you put the jockey wheel down.
Yeah.
Lock it in place.
Yeah.
And then you open the little latch on the tow bar of the trailer, and you drop the suspension of the Discovery down to sort of access mode, it says, which is as low as it can go. And it just pops itself out
of the... so the ball is clear of the hitch.
Absolutely, yeah. Your balls drop completely there on the Discovery.
Yeah.
And then you just drive away, which is fucking brilliant. And getting it back in is usually just the reverse of that. So, but you've got to hold the little latch open, and I did do that, and I held it open with one of the ends of the padlock. I just sort of squeezed.
Were you on your own?
Yeah. Just sort of squeezed it in place, and I was like, right, this will do. But then it slipped. And it caught and it just pinched the fat of my finger, and it's pissing blood everywhere. Was it? Yeah. So all over the tow bar and everything, and I was just like, this. It's 5:30 in the morning. I was just like, I'm just not in the mood for this.
Is it one of those things that hurts disproportionately? When you?
Oh yeah.
When you you bang your elbow or your knee.
Yeah, someone flicks your nuts.
It's like there's no way, or standing on a piece of Lego or an upturned 3-pin plug. Oh, it shouldn't hurt that much,
horrendous.
Should it?
Yeah.
It shouldn't.
No, you're absolutely right. And that I did. So I had to then unlock the workshop, switch all the lights on, go inside, wash my hands, because my hands are covered in shit from the, covered in mud and all sorts from the
previous night.
From the previous night's activities. And then, so I got to wash all that off. There's fucking blood everywhere. And then I had to put a plaster on, and I'm doing the whole track down, fucking plaster. And it's just not ideal, is it? And I'm hungover to hell.
Yeah, not good. So you get to Trackmon.
And
it's amazing, that place. I love it.
So good. But the woman in the cafeteria, I had chili con carne and chips for lunch, right? Solid on a Sunday.
It's really good.
It's the woman, lovely little Welsh woman. She goes, there's
a reason for that, Ben.
Yeah. There was only a certain amount of chips left, right, in the tray, because there was this big tray of chips.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a full portion
cold,
of chips.
hard ones.
Yeah. It wasn't. They're my favourite, but it wasn't like a full portion. So she did that really embarrassing thing where like there's other people behind me in the queue, right? And she goes and she puts the chips on the plate, puts chili con carne, and it was fine. It was enough. But she goes, "Oh, not a lot of chips there, is there? Do you want to wait for some more chips?" And I'm like in my head, I'm going through. I'm like, how many chips are we talking? And how long am I gonna have to wait?
If it's another 4, no.
Yeah, for another 20 minutes. Like I know, you need to give a bit more info. Like, you need to take control a bit more here. Like, love, what am I doing?
I like that.
What she could have said was, chips are going to be another 5 minutes. Do you want to wait? And I would have been like, no, don't worry about it. And then the other people, and it just wouldn't carry on. Or said, oh, you can have it a bit cheaper or something. Whatever, I don't mind. But don't...
Nothing.
Yeah, just in the...
More chips?
So I'm in the middle there of this like, onslaught of eyes, yeah? Because everybody's looking at that point like, what's he going to do? Is he going to wait for more chips?
Is he happy with his chili chips ratio or not?
Yeah, or was he just going to suffer with it? So I did suffer with what I had.
Did you?
Yeah, it's because...
That's what I would have done.
There was about 4 people to the left of me waiting to go there, and I was like, so what would that have meant for them? What would my decision... So if I said, yes, I want to hang on for more chips, would that mean that the queue... Right? Does the queue stop at this point? Am I responsible for this standstill?
The bloke behind you just wants a cheese sandwich.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we have a bit of we have a bit of a link because I lived so close to that track that I got free passes for everything that went there because of the noise.
Which is hilarious as well, because it's always free to go there. I don't think they do anything that isn't free.
No, I don't. So originally, when they redid the track, I'm trying to think when that was. That must have been around early 2000. Because Fifth Gear used to use it as their test track, and then they completely redid it, and all of a sudden it was plowed money in it because they wanted British touring cars and BSB, British Superbikes there.
Yeah.
And that was the master plan. So they put all of the money into first of all the track and then the pit area. And it is good, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, they've done a wicked job. It is fantastic. I've got one massive gripe with it, but the whole thing is brilliant. Like, it's really, really nice. The track's in excellent condition. It's a good track.
Yeah.
All the surfaces are decent. It's a lot of fun.
But the
pits
setting,
are great. When you come over the mountain,
it's like a Welsh Phillip Island. I don't know if
you've
seen. There's an Australian track where they do World Superbike MotoGP.
Oh right, okay.
Called Phillip Island, and it's right on the cliff top.
Yeah,
and all of the shots of certain corners are just over a racetrack out to sea.
Wow.
And it's that, isn't it? It's literally that. It's a beautiful setting on a gorgeous day.
So I've slowed down a bit of the footage of me going over one of the tops around the hairpins, and it comes down and you just see the waves crashing, because it was a hell of a windy day.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
So it's got all that going for it. So they put all this money into the track and the infrastructure. And then they said, right, we just need to widen the lane in from the road.
Because it's a tiny little Welsh country lane.
Yeah. Exactly that. So they said, to get those big transporters in for BTCC and BSB.
Yeah.
And on your way in, on that tiny little road, on your right-hand side, you'll see a farmhouse.
Yeah.
That farm and the farmer who owns it said, no. You can't widen the lane through my land. And it's like, what?
It's the most Welsh thing you've ever heard, isn't it?
Let's not go there. We've just like put millions into the track, and mate, you can't get. It has to be wider. All we're talking about is like twice as wide, like a normal A road, We'll pay you. And, you can imagine him leaning on his stick, couldn't you, going,
yeah,
no. And that was the end of that.
They're the proudest bunch of people in the world, the Welsh, and they won't. But no money will turn.
I am one. You know, the Welsh. That's me as well.
Yeah. Which is why I talk to them so derogatory, like I do, because you're one. No, I don't. So I grew up in Wales, lived in Wales for years. But one of the reasons I moved out of Wales is they hate progress, they hate money, they hate. In Wales, I'm making this statement now, right? There is such a small portion of people that own most of the stuff. Llandudno is a great example. Mostyn Estates, all these different things. It's such a small portion, and they don't want to give any of it away. They don't want to sell any of it. They don't want to do anything. It's all legacy stuff in Wales, and it just means that nothing happens. Nothing happens. They started building flats on Benavon Fields in Llandudno not that long ago, and it took them forever to get planning permission. Since I left there, so 20 years ago, they've been trying to do it. And they've only just started doing it now, and it's just insane how all the red tape and stuff in Wales is crazy, and that's I don't get it. I don't understand what the reason behind it. I love the country, I love the views, love the people, love everything, but you can't build anything in Wales. You can't do anything there.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a sweeping statement because you've got a bit of a north-south divide as well. Historically, for example, so I lived on Anglesey for 12 years.
Yeah.
And the Anglesey council were original. So they were, they were court, basically.
Yeah.
With sort of handing out planning permission to people that, as long as it worked for them, that sort of stuff. And this is in the public domain. I'm not accusing anybody.
Yeah.
I don't need to put allegedlys in there. This did happen, and so people couldn't get planning permission, and then some people definitely could. So there was a bit of that, but I really think they've moved on. I think I think you just can't. You have to be more transparent now. And
absolutely, yeah, I agree.
I think. The Senate, I think the Welsh government, I think they've done a lot of things very well, and there's a argument to be said. This is nothing to do with airplanes and cars, but the way they dealt with COVID, that sort of stuff, they did things really well. So obviously, I'm going to be more that leaning. But you go to, the development on in Cardiff and Swansea and along that south coast. It's just incredible. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And from Tenby, where I'm from. I think there's a lot of progressive stuff going on. So
I think there possibly is a bit of a divide there, like you said then, because North Wales is essentially massively run into the ground constantly. Whatever they do, that they just sort of try and run it in, or make the worst decisions in the world. I've still got loads. I go there all the time. I've got loads of friends and family there. One of the brilliant examples is the paddling pool on the prom in Llandudno.
Oh yeah, no.
You know the paddling, famous paddling pool. Yeah. Great, yeah. The council, there's online petitions. There's groups of people that try and get together to try and make changes. So the council have to look after this paddling pool, right? So it didn't open this year, and back in this time of year last year, they were saying, "Oh right, well what we need to do is it's got a couple of problems with the paddling pool. It's got a couple of leaks, so we need to recoat it. We need to empty it, clean it, fix it, recoat it." Great, fantastic. So quite a few contractors put a bid in. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, no problem. Take us a few weeks. Yeah, we'll do all that. And the council picked this shower, right? Don't know who they were. It's mad shower who decided that the stuff they needed to do it was going to come from America.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to get this stuff. It's the best stuff. We're going to make it. It'll last forever. It's great. And we're going to put it on your paddling pool. Council, cheapest. Yeah, fucking great, yeah. So they did this thing, and then the delays were insane. So it started to be like March time, and they were like, it's not even been drained yet. Like, right, okay, cleaned out because it's full of sand and stuff. And then, April comes along and the weather's getting a bit nicer, and it's all like, okay, well, when's the paddling pool coming? Because there's people wanting to go in there now because the sun's out, Not even started anything. And then, May, June, July, and essentially nothing happened all year. And then they started cleaning it out. They started getting these people in to repair stuff and things. And it was all blamed on delays of this coating coming from America. And all throughout these delays, there were so many local Welsh people who were dying to help. And from England as well. There's people saying, look, I own a company that does this for a living. We make swimming pools. I will come there and we will completely do it all for what you're spending on it already. We'll just do it. It's not a problem. And then there was people being more charitable, saying, oh, we'll all get together. We'll all chip in. We'll all do it. Council steadfast. Because they're so worried about getting sued. Oh, it's not been done. So worried about getting sued. So all the families, there's not loads to do in Llandudno in the sort of summer apart from the main tourist attractions.
Like the pier and the...
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Everything costs money. Oh, let's go on the cable cars. Let's take the family out on the cable cars. Yeah, it's a huge amount of money. Let's go on toboggan. Huge amount of money. Everything's dead expensive. So if you want something free to do with the family, it's a great option.
Yeah.
Loads of my friends wanted to do it. Can't do it. Closed all year. And that, for me... that was everything growing up was just like that. That was one example of all the different things they used to do.
So was it a childhood filled with disappointment?
Yeah, absolutely. But one of the one of the benefits about it is you aren't getting murdered there.
Yes.
You're able to walk in the woods, walk along the seafront. Yeah. It's all very nice. It's all nature's very, very good. It's all so there is a lot of upsides to it there.
Yeah, good. But that is a massive upside, by the way.
Not getting murdered. It's
not
great,
being killed is better than being killed.
100%, yeah. But just fucking, I don't know. It's just weird how they don't, sort of. And it all comes down again to you want to bring it back to cars, down to 20 limits and the speed cameras around these areas and stuff.
Do you know what I get it if it hasn't been implemented very well, but I live in Tenby. I drive from Chester. I don't live in Tenby. I live in Chester. But I go home to Tenby.
Yeah.
I hardly notice it. It's just in the odd village. It's It's not a problem. People go on about it. They talk about it like all of Wales is a 20-mile-an-hour limit. That is not the case. It's within a specific built-up area, it's 20. But outside of it, it's national speed limit. It's 60. It's fine. Whatever your national speed limit is. It's probably more than that. I've seen the videos. But, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the Mondeo at
Anglesey. Fucking dominated, yeah.
What was there? What were the other cars?
I'll always do really well on these track days of just giving it guns because all my cars are so fucking shit that you just don't care as much as the other boys. And they're all like, oh, I don't want to, the tyres, I don't want to use too much, it's a bit damp, I go a bit slower, I've got a little bit and I'm just like, foot to the floor, fucking old P-Reg Mondeo, 2.5 litre V6, it was wheel spinning through 50% of the track, just absolutely brilliant, just because it's front wheel drive, a child could drive it quickly. Yeah. So you just have to just turn, foot down, turn, foot down, turn, foot. It's just so much fun. So much fun. And it was perfect all day. Didn't break down. Well, one of the gear links just came off, but I fixed that with a cable tie. And it kept, the traction control kept kicking in after I'd switched it off, which was really annoying. So I had to switch the engine off and switch it back on again and then switch it off, which was a little bit annoying. I've been doing a lot of stuff like that recently. But what a car, man. What a car.
So, yeah, you put in some good times, didn't you? In your Tower of Power.
So it was the first wet one, so it was really wet and really windy. But what was he? I can't remember.
I did look at it, but I can't remember.
Well, so the Porsche on the dry was 209, right? Which was a Porsche 924 2 litre, and that was the really, really well set up little car. And that did 209, or was it 207? I can't remember, one of those two, around the GP circuit, the big Anglesey circuit. And the Mondeo did in the fucking, it was really wet and greasy.
Same circuit.
Exactly the same GP circuit. Lot of wind and rain. The wind is a big factor as well, especially up there because you can feel the car being slowed down by the wind when there's a big gust. 211. I hope I haven't ruined that for anybody, because that's a big thing at the end of the video.
Surprise?
But it is a surprise at the end of the video. But nobody listens to this anyway, do they? If you are listening, can you just let us know that you're listening, so we can work it out? Tell us in the comments. Just pause the video, and just comment, and just go, yes, I'm listening. Yeah. Stop talking shit. Say something interesting.
So I loved living on Anglesey. I thought it was a really cool place to live.
I love it. Yeah, I've lived in Anglesey. I worked in Anglesey for about 4 years.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it really, like the back of my hand.
Yeah,
great place. But yeah, Mondeo on the track, so good, man. Honestly, so good. And it was just what I love about taking it. So obviously, it'd been sat for 12 years, and I didn't do anything to it apart from fix power steering leak, fix a brake pipe, service the engine, and that was it. So when I arrived at the track, you're still on your same discs and pads, covered in a thick layer of rust from being sat for 12 years. All the suspension, there was still cobwebs hanging from it everywhere.
Amazing.
Real sort of rough and ready thing.
That's really good.
And you got people, so 4 people came up to me during the track day and were just like, that was the best laugh ever following you round. I was just like, yeah, it's great. There was a guy in a Citroen Zara, hello if you're listening, but he definitely won't be, but he had a Citroen Zara VTS.
Yeah.
Brilliant cars. I love a Citroen Zara VTS. They're so cool. And we lapped together for a bit. Yeah. So he was a bit quicker than me because he was stripped out and all sorts of everything. But we were following each other around. And his back end was front wheel drive as well, the Zara. Yeah. Same as the Mondeo. And both the backs of the cars just flying out, sort of lift off oversteer and stuff. It was just so much fun, man. And then he came up to me afterwards. He goes, "Fucking hell, that was brilliant. I was like, fucking brilliant, wasn't it?
That is very cool.
So that was a lot of fun. Really, really enjoyed it. But there's a couple of guys there that I loved. Everybody messes about with cars is a god in my eyes. Just I love you all, but some of them I just have to sort of just, as you're driving past, you go, fucking hell, what are you doing, mate? So
what, from a driving perspective?
So there's slagging people off. So there's this guy in this MX-5, right?
You've said what car he's in now.
Yeah, so if you're listening...
He or she, obviously.
Oh, it was a he. Yeah. So if you're listening, I don't know, sort your life out. But he was... so he's in the pits, right? And he's got his car up on these, almost like air jack type things, but he's got it on axles. It's got all 4 corners off in the air. And he's swapping his tyres over to wet tyres because it's rain. It's not raining, but it's rain on and off and greasy and stuff. It's just very, very wet. It's December, and I can see he's got this digital tyre pressure gauge in his hand, probably £100 worth of kit. Tyre pressure gauge, so it is.
Yeah.
So, and I can see him because I'm sat outside the pits at this point.
Aren't there all those little things you push on a little aluminium pit, pops that, and then you look at it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're what, £3?
Yeah, I think.
So I'm sat there in this Mondeo. I've got the heaters on, and I'm just sitting there with the engine ticking over, and I'm just on my phone, just messing about, and I'm just looking into his garage because he's got himself a garage.
Like a tent?
One of the pit garages he's rented. So he's paid extra for one of the pit garages. So he takes himself very seriously, this fella.
Yeah.
And his MX-5, you've got your roll cage. You've got all these, you can tell it's
5-point harness.
Yeah, all the gear, coilovers, you can tell the exhaust is different. Loads of good stuff on this MX-5. Looks the absolute business.
Yeah.
So he's got his digital tag, and I can see him doing all that sort of stuff. So anyway, goes to green, track's back open, so we all head to the track. So I go onto the track. Because he's in the garage, he goes in front of me because I have to go all the way around. I can't cut through the garage. So he's a few cars in front of me when we get out onto the track. I just fucking leather him, yeah, in this Mondeo. Absolutely leather him, yeah. And I'm leathering him, and I'm not even trying. And B, this thing is so fucked and old. It's got the tyres are Marshalls. What's a Marshall tyre? And it just wheel spins all the time. That's all it's doing is wheel spinning in the wet. And I'm just throwing it around the corners, having a whale of a time, talking to the camera. And as he's fighting for his life in this MX-5, just really he's on. You can see he's on the ragged edge as he goes around every sort of hairpin corner, and I'm just like round the outside, just like yeah.
I do think that there's an aptitude for these things. I do think that people, but I also think that somebody like him likes all of it, and the driving isn't. He's not really bothered. In his head, he's going as fast as he can.
Yeah.
I think he likes all of it. I think he loves his digital pressure gauge.
You're absolutely. I shouldn't at all.
I'm not
even
protecting him. I'm just thinking about somebody. So, there inevitably in a world of blokes, there's a ladder of where you are on that ladder, and that's everywhere. And you can imagine in the RAF pilot world, that's just how it was like. That was what it was like.
Yeah.
So you get selected to go into flying training, and then as you start flying training, you get paired off into different things. And I think I've talked about this before, because there were 3 streams. There was fast jet, there was helicopters, and there was multi-engine flying.
And then one below that was the guys that drive the little tugs around that pull the planes back in to the hangars.
And essential though. And so if you go to multi-engine flying early on, it's just a different world. I'm really not being negative. You can. I know some incredible people who went to fly Hercules and then end up saying, I'd like to try fast jets. And because of the rate at which people mature, ended up flying the Harrier, which is like the most difficult thing to fly. So I'm not saying that everybody on the multi-engine force or the world of multi-engine flying was rubbish. That's not what I'm saying. But some of them were. and there's a particular guy who went to fly Victor tankers.
Yeah.
I nearly said his name and never do that. He was a simulator instructor at RF Valley, but
sounds about right. Yep.
He'd only ever been a Victor co-pilot. I say only. He was an RF pilot. He was a Victor tanker co-pilot. It was a job. Yeah. So he did that for a while. Didn't get his captaincy on Victor tankers, which was a hard job anyway. But then he came off to be a simulator instructor on the Hawk. So he would be the guy who'd you'd be listening through your earphones when you're doing emergency. He'd give you emergency, all that sort of stuff. He was allowed to fly 3 times a month or something.
Right.
And he normally flew with somebody else. I think he did get to the point where he could fly solo, but he never did. He didn't have the confidence to do that, which is fine. But I flew with him once, and he said, "Oh, can I come and fly with you?" And yeah, no problem.
Yeah, just don't fucking touch anything.
Well, it was a bit like that. So he sat in the back.
Yeah.
And we're trundling down the runway, and
he flows up in the back.
No, and he goes 90. I went, "Sorry, you all right, mate?" He went, "Yeah, 120," and he's calling the speeds out, and he's rotate, and it's like. Oh yeah, you're gonna have to pack that shit. That is doing my head in. What are you doing? Well, I'm just calling the speeds out, mate. I normally fly my own. I don't crash. Just
just shut up.
So he was trying to be helpful, but it was just annoying, and it was just there are different worlds. The far extreme of that, there was a guy I flew with who was an instructor, and everybody was scared of him, and when I was a student, and he'd only ever flown single-seat airplanes like Jaguars and Lightnings, and I sat in the back with him, and I was just sitting here, and there's a switch on your oxygen mask with your microphone.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just sitting there like that, and just looking around, not saying anything, because it's like, this guy was quite intense, scary, quite intense. And he just said, "Have you got a switch on your microphone?" I went, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, turn the fucking thing off. I don't want to hear you breathing."
Fucking hell.
Click. And that was the end of that. So, I'm not on about that level of intensity.
Yeah.
It's just different worlds. It's what you're used to. And those things just don't overlap. It'll be like you in a 2-seater Formula 1 car or something for an experience, and then like trying to tell the bloke, corner coming up. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, but it's interesting, that the guy in the X-Fight, as you said, he probably loves all of it. He's probably really, and the guy, flying the tanker as well. He's probably so immersed in that world, just loves all of it, everything. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I'm in any way, faster or better than him, but because he might have been doing it, he might have been tested, whatever. But it's just so funny to me that someone can spend so much money. Because he'd obviously spent quite a lot of money on this car, and he's obviously spent and he had all the gear.
Yeah.
All the gear, yeah. And, full race suit and everything.
Yeah.
So anyway. It's a fucking track day, No, I'm only joking, not...
so I saw the same...
Full racing suit and everything. But so I'm just saying, he's, it's fucking, he's probably completely all invested in all that sort of stuff, but I just find it hilarious. And the only reason I mention it is because I'm flying past him in my work boots, my jeans, and my in my Mondeo.
Talking to your GoPro.
Yeah, talking to your GoPro. My Mondeo that's been sat for 12 years on grass, and I'm just like flying past him. And there was a lot of people out of the day there was a lot of purpose-built cars, like kit car type sort of stuff.
Caterhams and...
Yeah, because it's a bit wet, they just can't do it. They can't do it. It's a bit wet.
Too much power and very light.
Rear-wheel drive stuff, it's just front-wheel drive. It doesn't matter. You're not going to die. It's fine. But rear-wheel drive, if you get it wrong, you are going off.
You're swap ends, aren't you?
Yeah. So there's a lot of them just sort of trundling around, taking it easy, and I'm flying past it. And to me, that's hilarious. Yeah. I love that so much. I passed my ARDS test in a Peugeot 308.
What's that?
My racing license.
Oh.
So I passed that in a Peugeot 308 GTI. Yeah. And on the day when the instructor took me out, because the part of the ARDS test is showing that you're capable. So he takes you out for a couple of laps, tells you what to do, and then you have to do a couple of laps, and you have to do consistent times and all this sort of stuff. It's great. So as I'm doing that, and this was at Alton Park, and it was pissing it down. I mean, absolutely torrential rain, to the point where they almost called it off. They were like, well, we can't carry on. And I'm just flying around in this Peugeot 308, just front-wheel drive thing, just like, road tyres on it, just like this is the best lap in the world. You should have seen some of the stuff I was passing. You put them on a drag strip next to each other, and I wouldn't stand a chance, but just round a track, because there was corners, and it was wet. Just like everybody was shitting themselves. What? Nissan Skylines with 650 horsepower. Just like can't move, can't touch the throttle.
Can't even get out of the pits.
Yeah, fucking brilliant. I love it so much. And that, as someone that drives the shitter end of things, because I don't want to spend money on something that I could potentially stuff into a wall. Who knows? If I was a millionaire, maybe I might. But I'm not, so I'm just interested in having loads of fun on the track in something that's potentially a bit slower. But I find it hilarious when I pass someone who's just emptied their wallet into a car.
It's absolutely the same. So grew up, the whole family did motocross. I've said this before.
Nice, yeah.
And there was definitely... we were very lucky because we got to do it. It was really expensive. Thank God my son's into rugby. When I think about, just one... I moan about getting a new set of boots every season. And it's like, a set of tyres for motocross bikes is the same. And you change those every 2 meetings, But anyway, same thing. You saw people throw money at it, and it makes no difference.
Doesn't make any difference at all.
No, it doesn't make it. And so we used to race at South Wales Schoolboy Scramble Club, so all across South Wales.
Yeah.
And one of the guys I used to race against was Jason Bonham, and his dad is John Bonham.
Wow! Right, okay. Auctioneers?
No. A drummer for Led Zeppelin.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, nice.
And so in the paddock, walking around like ankle deep in shit, was John Bonham in a floor-length sheepskin coat.
Jesus Christ, amazing.
And people are going, do you know who he is? Oh, no.
Yeah.
He's a drummer. Oh, yeah.
Is he? Yeah.
All we cared about was how fast Jason was or wasn't. But Jason has... But this isn't an example of people throwing money and being... Because Jason was good.
Yeah.
But there were some people in that club who they turn up and they had the best of everything. Yeah. And didn't make any difference.
Yeah, you see it all the time with cars on the track days and stuff. It's just so far, and there's totally call for it in some ways. Like they do time attacks and stuff like that. So I can see you're building a 650 horsepower Skyline. If you know the track really well and you are a really good driver, you're going to dominate on a dry track. Yeah. Doing a time attack.
Yeah. Totally
understand that. That's totally fine. But it's just like, it's spending all that money for that sort of like, one purpose and stuff. And if you get spending loads of money and a really good driver, put them together, you're going to do amazing things, and you're going to. So that's probably obviously what they're trying to do, and they're going to go for that. And there'll be so many cases where there is amazing drivers, and they have got the ability to put loads of money behind them, and then they end up doing some proper racing, some real sort of racing. So I totally get it. I understand, but it's just. It's just interesting, isn't it? It's different people do things in different ways, but essentially they're getting the same goal. Are they getting the same goal? Because they're doing a track day.
Well, they've been racing for Sunday, haven't they? And they've come home and had a great time, I guess.
That's it, isn't it?
And they're polishing their £100 tyre pressure.
Yeah. Lining everything back up in the tray.
In their snap-on toolkit.
Yeah, that's it.
Every tray.
Yeah.
Popping them into the foam cutouts. Amazing. So my brother's got one of those because he runs the garage that my stepfather had. And his toolkit is unbelievable.
Oh, so Rob with the workshop, he's got MX5, hasn't he? So he 3D prints all his tool trays and all this sort of stuff, and he makes all this amazing stuff. And all his he's got amazing tools. I've seen him work on his car twice this year. This guy's got all the gear. He's going to be listening to this. Do you remember I said last time I was slagging him off? What was I slagging him off for last time? And I was slagging him off again. Sorry, Rob. What was it last time? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's for being rubbish, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, Rob. Yeah, but again, he's hilarious because he was listening last night and he goes, "I can't have to get you back for that." But he does amazing stuff with his 3D printing as well, though. He made a set of centre caps for my Citroen Visa ages ago, which you couldn't buy, and it just completely finished off the car. Just made it look perfect.
But weren't they sort of black plastic?
But they were just such a specific size, and they had a bit of triangle behind them, so they wouldn't slot in otherwise. And it's just like he just reverse engineered one that I already had.
Fair play.
And made me another 3.
That is very cool.
Yeah, so it's very, 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 very good. He's just changed jobs now in Bentley to go from. He used to do all the top, like when you design an engine bay, if something was going to go wrong during the use of the car, so something rubbing against, or like a wire might rub against something, so like fitment and all that sort of stuff. And he's gone from that to now developing the cars that we're going to see in 4 or 5 years' time. Yeah. Which is, and he's buzzing about that. He's telling me all about it, but obviously he can't tell me much. It's super secret. Yeah, so a lot of it is electric. Yeah. But it is now. We'll see what happens.
No, I agree.
You've heard it here first.
Yeah. Well, we've heard
this space on electric cars
many times. I don't know about first. Yeah,
but we won't talk about electric cars until this podcast.
No,
promise.
No,
unless you want to take an update. No, I haven't got any more updates. It's all gone to shit for electric cars.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. I think it's the same. So you talk about transportation and driving. The lovely thing about America is that flying is just another way of getting around. It's so lovely.
Speaking of that,
we haven't spoken about this, have we?
I wanted to ask you on my list for today. Do you know about this new Concorde? Is there a new hypersonic jet thing coming out?
I don't know anything about it. I've seen a picture of a very pointy thing.
Yeah, fixed wing thing that looks like a Concorde used to look.
Yeah.
But apparently it's due back. They're making one. What do you think?
I mean, that would be amazing. It's so bizarre that Concorde is gone, isn't it?
Yeah, mental. Yeah.
Because it was so far ahead of its time. And then you just had I say just, it was a massive tragedy. We had the FOD, the foreign object damage, the stuff on the runway, which flicked up
in France.
Yeah, pierced the fuel tank, and then of course there was that it crashed and everybody was lost, which was awful. And they made the decision then to end the project completely. But what a machine! I mean, just incredible.
And, one of the reasons they stopped it as well was because of the cost.
Yeah.
The tickets being so expensive and stuff. Yeah. But I think we're in a different place now, because that was probably 20, 30 years ago, so I don't know how long ago it was.
Yeah,
but
it's a long time ago now.
Yeah, I think 90s, wasn't it? But I think that now there's potentially more people wanting to spend more money, and engines are more efficient. It might not be as bad and all this sort of stuff. I would love to go to America more, I can't spend 11 hours on a plane. Like, I fucking hate it. I hate it. It's such a... I get so, like, pure anxiety walking to an airport.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah, knowing for the next 20 hours I'm going to be travelling. Because it's not just, like, you're 3 hours there, or your hours over there, you might have a stopover or whatever. It's just... I suffer from it massively. Because I'm quite big. Sitting in a fucking plane's a nightmare, isn't it,
Yeah.
And I can only afford economy.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Unlike you. You've never experienced it, have you, travelling first class everywhere?
I wish. But no, it's never bothered me. I always love flying, like, even as a passenger in cattle class. It's fine, So I quite like it.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
Right, so me and you are on holiday, and we jump on this 757 or 750, whatever it is that they use now, and we're flying over to America. And the dream call comes out on the radio.
We've done this.
No, that was for me, but I never asked you this. The dream call comes out on the radio, on the speakers. Both pilots dead. Yeah. Stone cold dead. Can't do anything. Anybody here that can fly a plane. Do you even need any help?
Yeah, definitely need some help.
Really?
So the problem is every cockpit, every airplane is different. I can't even get...
Could you not just work it out?
So fundamentally, yes. So you're in flight and the autopilot's on.
Yeah.
So
you've got time.
You drag the big fat dead captain out of the way, because they're always fat, aren't they?
Yeah, they've both killed themselves as well. Like, so it's not like there's anything else that's gone on. They've just killed themselves.
It's because they've had an argument over which of the rear crew they're going to marry.
Yeah, and they both want the same one.
Yeah, that always happens.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you sit in the left-hand seat, which is the captain's seat.
Yeah.
And a lot of things will look familiar. Sort of, the basic instrumentation.
Steering wheel, pedals.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. And it'll be obvious. But how you operate it all, so even going from a Boeing to an Airbus, so you've got an airline pilot who's qualified on a Boeing. If he got into an Airbus, a lot of the stuff would look familiar, but he'd have to, look around for what he needed to operate a different type. So that's always been a bit bizarre to me. So there is a concept with Airbus, I think, that through the various types of A320...
They try and keep it looking the same.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the conversion from one to another is relatively quick.
So that was a big thing with Volkswagen as well, actually, interesting.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
And so they do that, but... So for me, as someone who's never flown an airliner, if I got up there...
What's the closest thing you've come to flying an airliner?
A sort of twin prop thing. When I did my airline pilot's license in San Antonio in Texas, you had to do a twin rating. But that's like a 8-seater or something. It's like tiny. Okay. So I've never flown anything like that. But a lot of it will be... so the instrumentation will make sense because you need an artificial horizon, see which way up you are, how fast you're going, how high you are, how quickly you're going up and down, so vertical rate of descent.
Yeah.
Engine instrument. A lot of the stuff it has to be there because that's what you need.
Yeah.
To go, okay, the engines are running, that sort of stuff. All the environmental stuff, don't care. Like, cabin pressure, don't care. But so you've just got to land this thing. So I'd get on the radio and you'd need somebody who you'd say, I'm a pilot, never flown this thing.
So what would you say to them?
I'm a pilot, I've never flown this thing. And they'd
be like...
And they go, all right.
What kind of pilot? Do you fly fucking Cessnas over fields, dropping seed bombs?
So I've been a professional pilot, but a military pilot.
Yeah.
Haven't got a clue. Don't know what I'm doing as far as this airplane. But what I need is numbers. I need to know... So I need to know how to put the gear down, how to put the flaps down. It may be obvious. Sometimes it's like a big switch that says gear here or something.
Yeah,
that's fine. But I need to know numbers because you can't just put the gear down at 500 miles an hour. It'll rip it off. So
it's numbers of like how quick you need to land and stuff.
Yeah. What speed I need to be at this point. So I know how to fly an instrument approach. But, so when you fly, it's called base. So it's like if the runway is, it's like flying night. I was just thinking about people who are just listening. So if you imagine being lined up looking at the runway, it's not that. It's if you come back and reverse left, and you're 90 degrees off. That's called base leg. So that's what you do. You fly a massive base leg, and they turn you in onto a centre line on the runway.
Nice. Okay.
So when you're doing all that, you're descending, you're slowing down, you're putting the gear down, you're putting flaps down, all that sort of stuff. That is all numbers. So at this height, I need to be at this speed. They talk about them as like gates, like gate heights.
Yeah.
So at 15,000 feet, you need to be at this speed. You need to put then you can put mid flap, or you can put the gear and mid flap, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And so if you just flip that on its head, if somebody was in a Hawk and they happened to be in the front cockpit, I don't know why they would be, and the person who was flying it was in the back cockpit and died, I could talk them through the numbers. I could talk them through, it's all right, get down to 3,000 feet, be heading 180 out or 180 degrees out from the runway, which I could work that out for them, fly this heading. If you look down, you'll see a load of numbers. Get that number at the top to 360.
Nice,
and so
right,
fly
okay,
on that,
yeah.
and if you look to your right, you'll see an altimeter. Get that to 3,000 feet. So if they're a pilot, that would make sense to them. Say, okay, so I'm going to fly 3,000 feet. I said, now you're going to keep flying till I tell you, because I'd be able to see them on radar, like this guy would. He'd be in air traffic control.
Yeah.
And say, and when they get out to 15 miles or something, say, right, put 30 degrees angle bank, turn right, come back to 80% power on the throttle.
Yeah.
See that? I did that.
Yeah.
And as they're turning right, the speed's going to start to bleed off. So just maintain the altitude. Because you've got less power on, you're going to start to slow down. Once you get below 200 knots, then say if you look down to the left-hand side, there's a little round button. Press that and you'll hear the gear go down. Just next to it, the flaps go to mid-flap. Then they're configured. And so I could do it for another pilot in the airplane that I know.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they could say, if you look over to your right, you'll see a big handle that looks like a paddle. That's a flat. Yeah. Go 30 degrees, because they have loads of different settings. All that sort of stuff. So the answer is, I'm pretty sure I could.
So success rate. What do you think?
Of getting it on the ground?
Yeah.
Solid 80%. If the weather,
I was hoping for 100.
No, because if the weather's shit and it's dark, and there's so much lag. We talked about latency with a camera. So in a Hawk, you put a tiny bit of input in, and you get a reaction. You just see some of the videos of these guys flying in approach in a 737, and it's like, what is connecting that column, that control column, to the wings? Is it blancmange?
Yeah.
Because you just see the massive inputs, and to me it looks horrendous. I guess I'd work that out. And maybe 80%, I'm doing myself a disservice. Maybe it's 90%.
I reckon I'd be at 80%.
Okay.
So I reckon you'd be at least 98. That's what I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah. So if anyone owns a 737, an airliner, anything that they could set us up to try this,
do you know what we should do?
Send us an email.
That's a really good idea.
What's that?
Well, we should do that, because you can do it in a simulator and.
Can you get me in a simulator at some point?
Yeah, let's do that.
Can you do that? Is that something you're able to pull some strings at? I would fucking love to do that.
Yeah, we need to film that, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. That'd be amazing. Like a little day out to a simulator.
Yeah.
And just put me to the test. Just can I land it?
Yeah.
I reckon I could.
Yeah. Well, if I think what you need is the person in your ear, because there's a lag, isn't there? Sitting in the cockpit, the lag between something happening and you reacting to it is minute when you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
As a competent pilot, sitting on the ground, watching the radar, like asking for feedback, because unless if there was a camera in the cockpit, that would help massively, because you're like on their shoulder.
Well, you could just do a live, do a WhatsApp video, couldn't you?
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's a good idea.
Technology nowadays.
The feedback from what's happening to the competent person on the ground is key. As long as they were in the loop as closely as possible, then you're on to a winner.
Can I ask you another question?
Can I have a wee?
Do you want to go? Yeah, should we pause it?
Yeah.
Okay. I need to get another beer as well. The question I was going to ask is why all the hubbub about using phones and Wi-Fi and stuff on these airliners and things and these planes? What's that all about? Is it to do with interfering with instruments?
It's bollocks.
It is, isn't it? It's like petrol stations. Don't use your phone at the petrol station. It's all bollocks, isn't it?
Absolute bollocks. I know I come from a steam-driven era.
Yeah.
But absolute horse shit. Can you imagine if
because they say that, but then now you can buy the Wi-Fi on the plane.
Yeah.
So it's like, so it didn't actually matter then. It's just that you couldn't charge for it.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay.
So can you imagine if there's a possibility that somebody left their phone on accidentally and the airplane could crash, that they'd be going, no, it's okay, we tell them to turn them off.
God, yeah, it's true.
Bullshit.
It's true. Bullshit. If there was any risk of it actually going wrong,
so
they wouldn't even let you take mobile phones on the plane.
No, you'd be scanned and searched.
Yeah, there'd be like a sealed vault in the plane.
So I don't get it. So originally,
God, that's a great point. Yeah.
So there must have been a point early on. Then there was a possibility that they get interference. You know that interference you get? Yeah, and you don't want that when you're listening to air traffic control or whatever.
Or radio.
Or radio. There's no way that modern aeroplanes are interfered with it. I don't get it.
So interesting. So there you go. That debunked. Anything else we can debunk?
So, and I can say this now because I left the RF a million years ago, but I had the very, very early iPhone. You know the rounded one that looked like a bar of soap.
It was an iPhone 3G, it was called, wasn't it?
And so I used to text people when I was on an air test. You had to get down to about 3,000 feet and quite close to the land.
Yeah.
But I used to text people and go, I'm flying. And they go, fuck off.
That's brilliant. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's bollocks. I don't... It's not fair. I'm sure there may well be, an engineer, an aircraft engineer, an aeronautical engineer, who says, "Well, actually, there is a reason." What?
Yeah.
What can it possibly?
But you've nailed it on by saying if there was ever any risk, they wouldn't let it happen.
Of course not.
So true.
We're talking about simulators.
Well, can I just ask you one more question, just to debunk? What happens to the toilet waste on a big plane?
Well,
it doesn't just fall out the bottom, does it?
No. They
stored in a capsule. When you land, capsule's emptied. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Debunked. Because people get hit on the heads in America with frozen wee, don't they? Yeah. Blue ice. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe near 707 or something like John Travolta's got. Can you believe he's got his own 707?
I love him. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Face Off's brilliant film.
Yeah.
You've seen them making the new version of that Alps rugby team plane crash thing?
Are they? Where they eat each other?
Yeah, they're making a new one of those. And I, for one, cannot wait. Brilliant film.
Purely for the cannibalism.
Oh, love it. Just when that woman's lying there and she's like, no, I'd rather die, and then she dies. Because she's too proud. I'll go to hell. It's like, well, you're going to hell now.
It's just pork, isn't it?
I wouldn't have waited that long. I'd probably be on like 9 hours or something. I'm not missing my tea. You're joking. What? Missing my tea.
You're sitting there with a knife and fork with some bloke who's going, get off and fire.
Yeah. And they've got bottles of wine and stuff out there. Be like, you're fucking mad. They're already dead.
With a little Chianti.
Yeah.
Chianti, rather. And flava beans.
Yeah.
You are Hannibal Lecter.
I'll be ready and waiting.
So simulators.
Yeah.
Are amazing now.
Yeah.
Like the visuals.
I can't wait for you to take us to one. I think it's going to be great. And all the listeners can't wait to view it.
Yeah, let's try and work that out. So they used to be pretty basic. In fact, like when I first came back from America to fly the Hawk, there weren't any visuals. So you've got in a cockpit and the screen was greyed out. But just all of the instruments worked as they should. Because they're basically, you're supposed to believe that you're in cloud, so you're flying on instruments all the time.
Yeah.
Then they progressed, and the visuals are amazing now, absolutely amazing. And the thing to do with the Hawk simulator was to try and fly under the Britannia and the Menai Bridge in low level in the Hawk, which is very, very
on
difficult. They're too close together, and they're a bit like offset.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to do. But
there's a little house in the middle.
Yeah.
Can only get to by boat.
I have done it in a Wessex.
Have you really?
Yeah,
helicopter?
Yeah.
No way.
One quiet Sunday.
I knew a bloke who jumped off the Britannia Bridge and survived.
Really?
Yeah. Guy called Aubrey. Tiny little fat Welshman. As fat as he was tall, and he just tried to kill himself by jumping off the Britannia Bridge, which is the main one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Isambard Kingdom Brunel's
Yes.
bit.
Yeah. So this is going from Bangor to Anglesey.
Yeah.
So he jumped off it and fucking he couldn't kill himself. Like just
bobbed to the surface.
Yeah. Just came to service,
With
swam to the edge,
bum.
and, walked home covered in mud, and that was it.
Even more miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, one Sunday on Search and Rescue Wessex, flying along, and we would go on like training. So you're holding, you're waiting to be called out by the RCC, the Rescue and Coordination Centre. So you might as well be airborne and do that. Flying
Absolutely,
around,
yeah.
or we
on your jollies, like
go
and get some chips or something, get paper.
Yeah. Sometimes go and land at the mountain rescue place, in the
oh, nice, yeah. Or go and land
Ogwen
at
Ogwen Valley Mountain Rescue.
Yeah, nice. Or the National Women's Volleyball Association sort of thing. Yeah,
that sort of place.
Yeah.
And it's closed down. Have a cup of tea, and you tell RCC that we're holding. We're ready to go, but we're here.
Nice. Okay, that's cool.
So we'll be flying along on a Sunday. Nobody around. Nobody with mobile phones, which is quite important in this case.
Yeah.
And we're flying it up the Menai Straits. And I just said, oh, look at that person in trouble in the shallows just by the Britannia Bridge. And I remember the navigator who was downstairs in a Wessex.
Yeah.
As I've said before, flying a Wessex is like flying a council house looking through the upstairs toilet window. So it's just me upstairs and the navigator's downstairs. And I'll remember him going, no. And me going, oh, I think so. and slowly descending lower and lower and lower. And we went under the Britannia Bridge.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's brilliant.
Do you know what? You
totally just making it up. If
you did that now.
Oh, God, yeah.
End of career, thrown out,
absolutely, disgrace,
but
in all the papers.
But nobody had a mobile phone.
Pilot loses mind, flies under Britannia Bridge,
puts
thousands in danger.
Yeah, all of that. Got away with it.
It was like the old times were best because the Elfed Pritchard, another Welsh boy I knew, old bloke owned a pub.
Such
Elfed Pritchard, fucking loved him. He had gout, and he just ate chips. He used to fuck every company car. So they stopped wanting to give him cars. And they bollock him every 3 months when they changed the car. For Volkswagen.
Oh,
yeah. So he was a salesman, but he was like proper old boy. And he went out every day in his company car, which could be a brand new Passat, 6 miles on the clock, gets the keys, goes out in it every day for 3 months, goes home and back in it, and goes to the chip shop every lunchtime and eats his chips in the car. And at the end of the 3 months, you go to give the car back, and the valeters would like call the branch manager or the sales manager over, and they'd be like,
you can't get the smell of chips out of it.
They'd be like, what do you want me to fucking do this? It's completely fucked. And the seat used to be like covered in oil, just like real thick, the steering wheel.
No.
And it looked like a car that had done 70,000 miles, really, really fucked. Like, and I don't know where he'd been, but there was mud everywhere, everything. It was just completely fucked. And whenever we'd get a customer that said, oh, you haven't got a Passat as a demonstrator that I could have a drive in, could you?
Yeah.
We'd be like, no, I haven't got one, sorry. And Elvis would just be parked there. You could fucking see it as you stood there, you're looking at it going, no, sorry, I haven't got one. Because you couldn't take him in that. It was minging. So he used to get bollocking every time, but he was so intertwined in Anglesey, he was so deep in the people of Anglesey that he would sell cars in the pub, just come into work, do all the paperwork, take the paperwork back home with him, and that'd be that.
Yeah.
The customer would never come into the dealership. It was incredible. Like,
absolutely brilliant. Would he do them better deals, or was it just like...
He did the best deals, but not like... He wasn't losing the company money. He'd make the company money. He just did it really well. He sold... in the pub, something like 25 Golf GTIs to one guy that did... I don't know what the fleet was for. I don't know what it was, but it was Golf GTIs, not diesel fucking Golfs.
That's
the
amazing.
GTIs. And I remember when they all arrived and we had to line them all up. It was fucking epic. And the guy that owned Ken Crunch, that owned Pentraith, he got a big aerial shot taken of all these GTIs parked up in a big long line.
That's amazing.
Hell of a bloke, Albert was. Loads of stories on it. Don't know why I was talking about him though. Because he used to say. He used to say, "Oh, fucking hell, it was loads better back in the day because it was all 5 and drive, wasn't it? So you go from here to the pub, and we'd be in the pub then for till 7, and you'd." We'd be having 5 pints, and then you'd be on the A55 back home. No, the A5 back home. Because the A55 didn't exist. Yeah. You'd be on the A5 back home then, and you'd have 5 pints. And everybody did it. Yeah. Everybody did it.
So that makes it all right.
Yeah. We were like, fucking hell, it's great. I was like, did anybody ever die? Like, no, no, nobody ever died. Did they? Of course. Don't be daft. Don't be daft. And I was like, fucking brilliant. But he got gout because of his fish and chips addiction.
Mate, what an addiction!
Yeah. His leg went fucked with gout.
So you talk about cocaine, but fish and chips. That's the one, isn't it? That's the one that's gonna get you.
Absolutely, yeah. But yeah, fucking great. I bet he retired. He was absolutely sound. He had a great life by all intents and purposes.
But that whole drinking culture thing, we've talked about it before about drinking and flying, and
all pilots are pissed, aren't they, all the time?
Not anymore. It's unbelievable how there was it's completely believable and correct that it was almost like a switch. Somebody flicked a switch and went, has anybody noticed that really we shouldn't be drunk when we're flying, or hungover, or impaired in any way due to any sort of drug or alcohol? Why did it take so long for that? Because in the 80s, it was completely normal.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I remember coming back from Ramstein in Germany.
Concert?
No. Ramstein Air Force Base.
Yeah.
American Air Force Base. And due to weather, we went to a city in Belgium.
Metallica?
Yeah, went to Metallica city in... Anyway, it'll come back to me. And I was so hungover. I'm not proud of this. I was so hungover. What are you looking for?
Cigarette squad.
Well, you going to have a cigarette now?
Not while we're doing it, no.
Oh.
I'm just going to try and find us so I can make one. Could do though. Come on, we are close. But we're just because we're talking about it now. All I can think about is smoking a cig because we're talking about boozing. Yeah, and I think we should go out and get fucked up after this.
Okay. It's so shallow. So I can remember being so hungover when we landed at. I nearly got the name of it. How can you forget the name of a whole city? It was another small American Air Force base. We landed the Puma helicopter.
Yeah.
And they came out to refuel it. There were 2 pilots in a Puma. I got out and I said, mate, you talk to them. Anyway, he looked at me and I was ashen, obviously. I jumped out.
You were what?
Ashen. I was like white as a sheet. Nice. I was so hungover.
Never heard that expression.
Yeah. And I went around the other side of away from the refueling input to the Puma. And I was throwing up on the undercarriage. And this American guy came up to him and going, are you one of the pilots?
Did he have his bag with him? He was getting a lift anyway.
No, but he was an airman in the United States Air Force. And he just couldn't get over it and that's so wrong, isn't it?
Why? Was it in America they were better at? They didn't do it as much, or?
No, not like that. Not while you're flying. You weren't hungover and flying. I mean, as you know, I learned to fly with the United States Air Force, and there was a lot of alcohol involved. At the O Club on a Friday night, it was carnage. But I think we were pretty good in the week. It didn't actually, you didn't fly hungover. But in the RAF in the 80s, and whatever anybody else says, it's true. So many times I have felt shocking.
Yeah.
And even in fast jets, you on the ejection seat, they've got a little air mix 100% oxygen slider on your seat.
Yeah.
So you can go from air mix to 100% oxygen if you've got some sort of toxic fumes in the cockpit or anything. So in the oxygen mask, you're getting just 100% oxygen. I spend a lot of my time on 100% oxygen, but not because of toxic fumes.
Yeah.
Just trying, just to get rid of the headache. There's no way that can be correct, is there?
Yeah.
No way.
That's brilliant.
That's not right.
No. But also, I don't know, I don't know, was that better? Was it better when we did stuff like that? Well, because I'm fortunate that I'm old enough to have seen a lot of these practices happen, such as smoking inside and things like that, which is just mental. It's just not a thing. But like a lot of sort of sketchy shit that you just couldn't fucking do anymore. And just before there was camera phones have fucked everything. Like it's shit we used to get up to before. All of a sudden, people started taking pictures of you doing it.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, why delete that? And then they'd show it to someone, and then you started getting... And I really feel for a lot of very young people now that are going to be trying to do sketchy shit with as much surveillance, CCTV, mobile phones, everything as there is now. You can't get away with anything. And you see what some kids are putting online now of, stuff that they're getting up to and setting fire to just being real fucking reprobates. They're all filming happily and putting it online, and you're like, that's there forever. People are going to be looking at that. And if they've got to decide between the guy that used to set fire to tyres and roll them into sort of playgrounds and stuff, are they going to employ that, or are they going to employ the nice sweet person who hasn't got anything?
Well, what still blows me away is people who put videos of driving a Ferrari or supercar or Lamborghini or something like that, and showing them doing 180 mile an hour down the motorway. It's like, what? How does that even? What are you thinking?
You're absolutely right.
But they do that, don't they?
Well, I do it as well.
You've not ever owned anything that can do 180 miles an hour.
I've been close. Fastest I've ever driven is 165, I think. I'm just trying to move this. It's weird that it doesn't swivel. But what I was going to say was, when I record stuff for YouTube and put it out on YouTube, I have to be very careful at where the camera's pointing in the car and stuff.
All right.
So if I'm doing anything remotely sketchy, which I do all the time, I have to make sure that say, for example, if you wanted to use that in court, I could be like, I'm just fucking doing it. Because a lot of the times I am on private land. Because obviously the workshop's so big, and all the land that it's on. Some people do me seeing sketchy stuff, and they could quite easily say, oh, he's doing that on the road. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm just, I'm on private land. So that's something you've got to be very careful of. Because you're right, there's so many people that put stuff up, and it's just like... But it's been, it's been proven many times. There's the famous story of the first one. I say the first one, don't know if it is the first one. About the Japanese guy with a Ferrari. Do you remember that?
No.
It's quite a big thing back in the day. Japanese guy bought a Testarossa or something like that, and he using VHS camera, proper camcorder, set this camcorder up in his car and set another camcorder up recording his speedo, and just blitzed this Ferrari around Japan and videoed it and released it. So it was like, have you ever heard of Getaway in Stockholm?
Yeah.
Getaway in Stockholm, one of the best things in the world. Just the most phenomenal bits of cinema in the world. And it just, if you haven't watched Getaway in Stockholm, go and research it, watch it, read all about it, let it inside your mind and live with it for the rest of your life. It's fucking brilliant. It's a guy with like a Supra, and he just tears it around the streets and then finishes in a garage, but you never see him, you never see anything. He's just driving really quickly on the roads. It's amazing. But the Ferrari guy put this video out, and the police just turned up and went, "Okay, you're going to prison now then."
Yeah.
I hope that was worth it.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks for all this evidence that we bought at a shop.
That's what I mean. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. And so all of that stuff where you can just tear around, do what you like, that literally used to be the case in the military. You could fly as fast and as, low as you liked. And there just seemed to be this unwritten thing where you could get away with it because you were the military. And that's enough.
That's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, if you said to me, right, someone is flying round and they're pissed, or they were pissed last night or anything, and then they're flying this bloody helicopter and all this sort of stuff, I'd be like, bloody hell, who are they? You're like, well, it's a trained pilot, he's been doing it for various years, it's his job. I'd be like, oh, okay. Just let him do it.
Do you know what? I don't know, but I can't. It wasn't all right, But so there's two things here.
But just imagine, if it was like you were looking after children in a nursery or something, you were fucked on drugs and you're pissed, and I'd be like, so here's a guy, just like some random dude. He's got nothing to do with this nursery. But again, if it was like, oh, it's just these people, they do it for it, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever, they're used to it. Nothing's happened in the past.
No.
Let's just.
I just
until
think,
it goes wrong.
So there's two things. So I don't think. I think the alcohol thing is not okay because when you look, because it impairs your judgment. So that's why. Or if you're hungover, you're just not operating like you should. And some of the stuff that we
speak for yourself.
in a fashion.
Do my best work.
Yeah. Who was it? Ernest Hemingway, wasn't it? Like write drunk, edit sober, or something like that. But anyway,
it's like that.
Yeah.
Sorry about all that noise messing around there as well. I was just trying to find bloody filters.
Clearly.
Cigarettes.
Yeah. So the whole low flying bit. There was a point early on in my career where you could fly as low as you dare and nobody cared. It's because there were no radio altimeters, there's nobody monitoring you. It's not like that anymore. They are monitored, and there is the danger to the public, all that sort of stuff. So I get it, but unbelievable fun. Unbelievable
I can
fun.
imagine it would be incredibly thrilling.
Ridiculous.
To try and fly. So how fast are you going roughly?
Well, sort of the normal low-level speed is 420 knots, so like nearly 500 miles an hour. And
how far, are you as tall as, what's a building that's tall around here? The top of the cathedral out there,
Well, that's about 100 feet, I guess, but sort of higher than that. But yeah, not much higher than that. So my mum lives in South Wales, was incredibly proud of what I did, and I was on a low-level sortie on my own one day. So I phoned her up, and I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Nothing." I said, "Well, if you need to be on this bridge.
Yeah,
it's a bridge outside Kilgetty, and I said, be on this bridge at about 9:10.
Yeah,
I'll fly over it." And she went, "Oh, brilliant."
That's lovely.
Yeah,
that is lovely.
So I'm flying down this. There's a bit of dual carriageway. If anybody's ever driven to Tenby, it's the dual carriageway from Sinclair's, and it goes into a place called Kilgetty, and there's a roundabout. Before that, there's a
no one knows what you're talking about.
Do. A single arch span bridge over this dual carriageway.
Yeah.
And as I'm approaching it, and I'm thinking, I'm just going to absolutely wax it. I'm going to give her a centre parting. She's not going to forget this.
Yeah.
And as I'm approaching this bridge, there's nobody uses this bridge.
Yeah.
And there's like 20 cars on it. And so,
she told everyone.
Bollocks. So I pull up a little bit, fly over, get back. And I said, I was going to fly. She was going, "Oh, it was amazing. Thank you very much." I said, "No, it's going to be a lot better, but there's loads of people on the bridge. Oh, yes. She said, I told Auntie Reenie and Uncle...
Hell, Mum. God.
But that's what they do.
They can't keep anything to themselves, can they?
That's what they do.
No.
Love that. Have you ever taken your mum for a track day?
Yeah, well, I let her drive some of the cars sometimes, and all sorts. She's up for anything, like, you know. She's a good laugh. She's a really good laugh. She won't. She's not one of those ones that will go, "Oh no, I'm not doing that." She'll say it, but then she'll go, "Go on then, go on then, give us the keys. Let us have it." As long as it's automatic, because she learned to drive in America, like you learned to fly in America.
Oh yeah, okay.
So you can only fly automatic planes, can't you?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that's what I can fly.
Yeah.
So, given an unlimited budget,
nice like that. Yeah.
What would be your fun cars? Because everybody said, not everybody. A lot of people go, "Oh, I want a Lambo." It's like bore off.
Yeah.
It's like there's so many lovely cars out there.
So I'd have a Lambo. For what?
Just you've got this unlimited like garage. You've got a massive garage.
Yeah.
It's all painted immaculately.
Yeah, nice.
With floodlit. So what's in there?
A bar.
Yes. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So I would go for Peugeots, probably a couple of Peugeots.
Which
so
ones?
You'd be looking at something like a 106 Rally.
Yeah.
You'd be looking at something, and it'd be a Mark II 106 Rally as well, so you get a bit more power. You'd be looking at a 306 GTI 6, probably a 405 MI16, so they'd be my sort of front-wheel drive fun cars. I'd enjoy
I had
those.
a 309 GTI. That was amazing, that car.
Great, just right in the middle between the 405 and 205. Great thing, like, really good. Modern cars actually don't turn me on at all, so a lot of these are probably going to be older, more analogue things.
I can guess one.
Well, I'm not going to say something like the Lotus. I was going to say Cortina then. Lotus Carlton, because we've already talked about it, so I'm going to say so. But obviously there'd be a Lotus Carlton. Well, I'd be getting to the hangar in a Lotus Carlton.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? That'd be the car I use to go home.
Yeah, nice.
But rear-wheel drive, E36 M3 Evo would be in there. I had one of those before, drove it all around Europe. It was fucking wicked. Nearly drove it off the side of an Alp in the snow, thick snow.
Wow.
Everybody on snow chains and stuff. And we'd just driven from Manchester, so we didn't have any snow chains. And it was pretty bad. And but I did a sick manoeuvre and stopped it against a verge, and we didn't crash, which was great.
Was it, you're intimating that was due to your skill?
Yeah, massively. Yeah. So it's obviously very snowy, steep going down. ABS.
Oh, you're going down?
Yeah. Not really doing much in the way of slowing down. So the only thing you can do is try and turn it and try and slide it sideways so the ABS doesn't kick in anymore. So you're actually stopping. Bit of handbrake action, and then the car slow down enough to just go bump against the bank instead of going off it. So that's all down to me, and there was two others in the car, Tom and Matt, and I saved their lives by doing that.
How much did they pay you?
They're welcome. Nothing. Although it was Matt's car, but it was hilarious because we bought it just before we went. Matt had put all the money in it. It was one of those things that we were going to keep it, do it up, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We decided to drive it through loads of countries first. Drove it to Italy and back. It was mental. But we got back. So the aim was to drive it to Stelvio Pass.
Right.
Embarrassed saying this, but we got there and it was closed. Anyway, so we went up some other Alps, some other mountains. But yeah, we did get there and it was closed. It was really embarrassing because we got in February.
Closed because it was snowy?
Yeah. So idiots. But anyway, we were too young to really notice. But anyway, we got back, and because we've been doing so much driving, the diff had gone in this M3 Evo. So it was clang, 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 clang every time you did a hard corner. So like, fucking hell, we think, God, it's going to be so much money to fix, and your ball ache, you have to find one, fucking hell, because they're not just any diff in these limited slip things, it's just like, fucking hell. And it was dead bizarre, but for some reason, we HPI'd it when we got back, and it came up as Cat C write-off, back when Cat Cs were a thing. And the guy hadn't told us that sold it to us, and he was a dealer. So we were like, let's just fucking give it him back. and get our money back. And we rang him up and said, this thing's Cat C, you didn't tell us. And he was like, oh, fucking hell. A couple of days later, rang us back saying, there's nothing I can do, I have to give you the money back. So we transported it down there with, I think, 5,000 or 6,000 more miles on it, toasted tyres, fuck diff, and just gave it back to him and got our money back. It was fucking brilliant. Absolutely. We took a lot of life off that car, I'm telling you. A lot of life.
Amazing.
But yeah, so good. What were we talking about then? Oh yeah, fun cars.
Fun cars.
So there'd be one of those.
Hopefully not that one.
A different one of them. One lady owner or something. Something like a Mark 1 Golf GTA. Just because they're not great. They're not, but I just think it'd be so much fun. And you could use that as like a base level if you had a scoreboard. I think that'd be quite cool. Rear-wheel drive Sierra Cosworth. Money's no object.
The one with the big whale tail on the back.
Yeah, big 500.
I tell you, Hammond's got one of those.
Yeah,
I told you that.
I've not seen it, no. Nice.
You wouldn't have seen it. You don't know.
No, not on TV, like, you know. On YouTube. Yeah. But I'd also like a Sapphire Cosworth, Roush Cosworth, because I used to kind of have one of those as well, which was amazing. We made 2 Sierra Cosworths into one at one point.
I was going to say, how do you kind of have one? What do you mean?
I'm trying to think of a way I can quicken the story. We had a guy that we used to do favours for with taxis and stuff when I had car tech, and we used to fix a lot of his cars. And one day he said, come to my house and have a look at this. And I turned up and he had 2 Sierra Cosworths on his driveway. One of them was a Rouse edition which had no drivetrain. The other one was a normal Sapphire Cosworth which had great drivetrain. And he goes, he knew nothing about mechanics, he wasn't a mechanic at all, he just had these 2 cars that he bought as an investment. And he goes, can you make one good one out of these 2? Make this Rouse edition really, really good. But of course, the Rouse edition, I think, had slightly upgraded bits on it. So even by doing what we did, didn't really make it a Rouse edition. Well, it had all the plates and everything, so it was a Rouse edition, Andy Rouse, like, and it was quite sort of legitimate. But obviously, this stuff was off a normal Sapphire Cosworth, so that was a bit sketchy.
Yeah.
So its providence was, but as almost all Sierra Cosworths have, shit providence anyway, you know. So many of them would say, this Cosworth's only done 8,000 miles. It's like, no, it's done 108,000 miles, mate. You know? But yeah, so he said to us, if you can do that, we'll go, your input into the car is you doing the work, and then we can use it for a bit and sell it on for a profit. So it was like kind of mine, kind of his, and we would fix everything. So anyway, we did it. And we got to a stage where we needed to put quite a lot of money into it.
Okay.
So it needed a lot of new stuff for it to work. Clutches, brakes, consumables, loads and loads of new bits, electronics wise and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, loads of stuff, and we couldn't agree on as to like who would pay for this. It wasn't like I'm not paying for all of it, like, because it's fucking, you know, these 2 cars on their own are worthless, and we're doing a shitload of work here, like.
Yeah.
So essentially, we had a massive argument with him, and we ended up taking it for an MOT. It blew blew one of the pipes off the turbo boost pipe. Ended up having a couple of other little issues, and I think he said, if I give you $5,000, can I just have it back? And at the time, because I needed the money, I think I just said yeah. And I bought a Ford Capri, which was amazing, but it was automatic, which was just, I don't know, stupid.
Yeah, amazing.
But it was immaculate.
That's a good story. That was worth it.
Yeah, it was a bit like, there's loads more to it than that. He was a fucking rogue. Yeah. I'm trying to find it.
It started with, see these 2 cars, you're going to make one good with out of the 2. It's like,
One of them was definitely nicked. Like. Yeah. So you know, I think anyway, he was proper sketchy bloke, Scouse guy, living in England. I didn't know. Just obviously you worry about things getting back to you even all these years later, don't you? But I'm just like, you know, I'm just trying to think of ways that I can't get anyone in the shit here. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, he was proper dodgy. Like, I used to do loads of dodgy stuff for him. Dead sketchy. But when I owned Cartech, I was 19, 20, 21, 22, I think. And I didn't care. I'd do anything. No. I just needed the money.
Yeah.
and spent it all on drugs.
That's not true.
Spent a lot of it on drugs.
So I had an engine failure in a Wessex on the Great Orme. So what used to happen was, when you're on search and rescue at RF Valley, there was a thing called the what are they called? God, I hated them so much. They turn up and they check you basically. And because I've never been good with exams and I don't like surprises. It was like Ofsted but for pilots. Yeah. And these guys, and you'd come in on shift and there'd be a Mondeo estate.
Oh, guy with a clipboard.
No, what's the MG?
Montego,
Montego,
Austin Montego.
Yeah, estate.
Yeah, nice, great car.
And only they had one, and you'd come in on shift to hand over about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
and then you'd be in there for 24 hours. So I'd cycle in from Married Quarters at RF Valley, and you'd come in and there'd be this Montego estate there, and you'd think, oh, your heart was sinking. No, what were they called? Anyway, they were there to basically examine you on your ability to fly the helicopter, carry out procedures.
Well, and how regular was that?
Oh, like once a year. So it wasn't very often, but when it happened, it was like, and it was big juju. Like if you did badly, it's like
if your breath stank of rum.
Yeah, if you're stumbling when you came in through the door. Yeah. So I remember turning up there, and they would set up these very elaborate scenarios.
Right.
And they would brief you on the scenario, and so there was a first crew which you would hold a standby for search and rescue, and there's a second one. So if something happened to the first crew, the second crew would hold, and they'd say the second crew is holding standby, so you're going to carry out this operation. And me as the duty captain, I was like in my 20s.
Yeah.
You know, it's very young to do this, and that's how I used to. Massive imposter syndrome after being a little shit at school. That sort of. So they'd say, duty captain, come in. Right, we're going to brief you on a scenario. You and your crew will carry this out. We'll fly with you and assess you on it. You know, it's like,
Jesus.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
So this scenario from RF Valley was there'd been an ejection from a fast jet aircraft, 2 crew, one they're close to the Great Orme, but they don't know anymore. You are to go and fight. So we had, when you eject, you set off a beacon on your life jacket, and you can hear it, but it can be blank because it's line of sight. So when
you say you can hear it, you mean on radar?
Yeah. You can. It goes boo 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 boo,
nice.
and so you can hear it and you track towards it. All that.
That's cool. Yeah.
So cutting a very long story short, I'm getting too much into the weeds on it. Basically, you head off to the Great Orme. There's me and my crew. So there's a navigator and a winchman, plus the checking pilot, the checking navigator, and that's it. So there's 5 of us on board, and the checking winchman is already on the side of the Orme with a parachute all laid out next to him, as a casualty, expecting us to come alongside. So we come up alongside. So there's lots of things to consider: blowing his parachute when you hover next to him, all that sort of stuff. So I can see him because it's a big orange parachute. So what happens when you arrive at a scenario in a search and rescue helicopter? You brief. So you say, talk about what's going to happen, and then you carry out what you're going to do. So for example, you'd say, okay, can everybody see, there's a parachute there. It looks like he's not moving. Right, so if we go in too close, we're going to blow the parachute, could like blow him off the Orme, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll probably put the winchman down, further back. You'll have to walk in. Are you okay with that? Yeah, happy to do that. So we're going through this brief, and all of a sudden, so there are 2. It's very hard to describe a Wessex helicopter if you've never seen one, but they've got 2 massive jet engine exhausts that jut out below the cockpit. Right. One sticks out on the right, one sticks out on the left, and there's just constantly like blowing out jet air that drives the helicopter rotor blade. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear because I'm looking across the jet pipe basically of that jet engine, I hear it start to like rev up for no reason. Start to like go really quite high.
Right.
I start to and I'm thinking, I'm not doing anything. I'm not making any inputs. And I look in, and the reason this one, the right-hand engine, the starboard engine's running up, is because the left-hand one's running down. And it's like, shit. So you can't... That's exactly what I thought in my head.
Yeah,
shit.
Fucking hell.
So I thought, you can't hold a hover at that height with that many people on board, with that weight, with the lever, like, hauled up to that amount, looking at this. So what you have to do is lower the lever, so it means you descend and you sort of fly away.
Yeah.
And that point, so you go you're on a single engine. Then you've got lots of people on board, and what you would normally do is go for a running landing. And I'm thinking, oh my god, it's like, where am I going to have a running landing in Llandudno?
The beach.
No, tide was in. But also soft sand, it could roll over and kill everybody. So come around the corner, I think, there's a golf course there.
Nice. Is it...
on West Shore,
yes,
there's a golf course.
Not Mondeo, what's it called?
What's it called?
Maddock, sort of, I can't remember. It begins with an M. Maesty golf course. Yeah.
It's the one just up from West Shore.
Yeah, no, well.
And so I come round the corner, and there are like 1 million people, as far as I can work out, decided to play golf that day.
Fucking hell.
Come in for a running landing. We've gone the sort of one of the longest greens I can find, or not greens, longest holes I can find. And it's like we get down. It's like,
did you shout 4 before you landed?
Well, there's more to it. So trundling along, I think, fuck for that, we're down. But I'm braking, and then there's like this bunker appeared, so I had to pull and just go over that, landed, stopped just short of the green.
Good job on fucking
shut
landing.
Down, a home for tea and medals, thinking, yeah, done well there. Nice. Climb out, and we're standing there.
It's just some legs of a golfer sticking out underneath the sides of the thing.
It could have been.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, here, whoa, and I go, ponk, and I get off the side of the helicopter. It's like, are you kidding me?
Joking.
Just managed to get this piece of shit down, and you're...
Fucking pelted you with golf balls.
So... we're right down at the end of the golf course, and I said, right, I'm going to walk up to the clubhouse and see if we can stop people playing golf.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So I walk up there. It's quite a long way. I walk into the clubhouse, and you normally... the reception you get as an RFP is quite good. It's like,
of course, absolutely.
You're cool, aren't you? Walk in there, they look at me. Yeah. It's like I'm a piece of horse shit on their shoe.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh... And I said, anybody know where the club secretary is? And they point. I go into an office.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
But you can't play golf and like smash 7 shades of shit out of that helicopter.
Yeah.
And he went, this is the biggest tournament we've had here for 4 years.
No.
We've got 100 pairs. He said, we're not playing. You are an act of God.
Fucking
And he said, I'm telling them to play through, and they will play through.
Shit.
And that's what he said.
You're an obstacle.
And I said, I've got fucking bad news for you, mate, because there's another Wessex coming in a minute with a load of engineers who are going to land next to us.
And they've got fucking guns, dickhead.
That is absolutely true. And
that'd be so good. If
ended up in the Sun. It was in the Sun newspaper the following week.
Imagine as soon as a golf ball hits the side of the helicopters, just fire a couple of rounds into the sky.
They kept playing. I think they fenced us off in the end, but they basically kept playing.
That is amazing.
Love it.
That's so good. I just wouldn't mind just having a quick ciggy, because I've had a couple of beers now when I was thinking about it. And then when we get back, I wouldn't mind talking to you about, because you got me in the mood for a little bit of dodgy car stuff.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Dodgy car guy that I used to work for, and some fleet Vectras. Exciting. Right, let's go for a quick cig.
Cool.
Right, we're back. Simon. I don't mind talking about this guy. I think as we get more comfortable doing this podcast, I think a lot more stories will come out, because we've just been discussing a few that we're unsure whether or not we can tell.
Yeah.
So this one was... so the start of it is a whole other story in itself, so I'll skip a lot of that, but essentially I worked for Volkswagen main dealer. This guy worked for Seat, He made a car disappear once, a brand new car, very, very sketchy, a whole other story. And then he left because he went to work for College Motors in Bangor, which many of you will probably know. And he took over because the guy wanted to retire. And this was a wonderful little car dealership. It was just perfect. It ran. There was staff. People had been there for years. It was a gorgeous little car dealership. Had a big garage on site, did loads of work and stuff. It was a Ford dealership at some point and then went private. So he wanted to retire, and Simon went to...
You're right.
Sorry, just, I need to get another beer, I think. So...
Shall I do that?
Yeah, go on, do another beer. So Simon said, I will come and take over your dealership and I will run it for you and I'll do it the best job because I'm the most amazing salesman. I'm a sales manager in Penshithe. I'm the fucking absolute dog's bollocks. He traded off bullshit, this guy. He was shit at everything he did. He was so shit. But anyway, he came to me and he said, I worked for Volkswagen at the time, and he was like, Ben, I'm going to work at College Motors. Do you want to come and work for me, be my star salesman? And there's a whole other story in that, but I said yes. Because of what I was promised. So anyway, I go and work for him, and I'm in this thing. And it was in 2010, maybe? I don't know. 2009, 2010. And we were struggling for stock, right? So stock was because I think it was 2007 when there was a big sort of financial crash and stuff, and things were it happened.
Yeah,
it was
2008.
Yeah, so it was quite a difficult time, and we struggled for stock for good second-hand cars. So because not a lot of new cars are being sold and filtering through the system and stuff. So anyway, he found this company that was, I think, either going bust or they were just trying to get rid of their fleet. And their fleet was maybe 20, 30 Vectra SRIs on 08 and 58 plates. And they were all black or silver, standard SRIs. Good car, because they were, a good 58 plate SRI Vectra at the time was a great buy because it depreciated a lot. But it was still a lot of car for the money. They were fast, they were good, nice big car, good saloon thing. And so we bought them, right, on this big stocking loan from Barclays or Black
How many
Horse.
of them?
So I think, let's call it 25 because I can't remember. It was between 20 and 30, so 25 of these
money.
things. A lot of money, but they were not expensive for what they were. So we were retailing them. So there's a couple of arms to this story. There's the he being a dodgy bastard, and there's the what happens with fleet cars, which is interesting at the moment because we're just going through the whole take-am thing, which started last time.
Yeah.
So it's like, what happens when a company buys so many of one vehicle and then suddenly they're released into the second-hand market? So essentially we get 25 of these Vectras, right? And then the first 5, and they all come on this transporter, one by one, and they come and they go, and then all of a sudden we're all driving Vectras. We've all got Vectras as a company car. Fucking hell, he's giving everybody a company car as a Vectra. And then the first 5 we sell, just because people want them. We're picking up the phone to people. Listen, we've just had these in. Fucking bargain century, 13,995, 14 grand, and get you in a nearly new Vectra.
What was he roughly getting them for?
It's probably getting them for 9 or 10.
Okay.
So there's a good 4 grand across them immediately, and there was nothing you needed to do to them. They were under warranty, everything. They're all pretty clean. Little bits of bodywork here and there, maybe. So first 5 or so, maybe 5 or 10, we're selling easy, making loads of money, fucking great. But bearing in mind, this is in Bangor, in North Wales. This isn't Manchester, this isn't London. There isn't a lot of customers. This is just, there's a finite amount of customers. That's a good beer. So we then get to a stage where they're just not selling very quickly. And the problem that you've got with having a stocking loan is that you have to pay the interest on that stocking loan every month. So otherwise, you'd leave the cars at a price and you just never sell them, and it wouldn't matter because but essentially you'd lent, I think, 90% of the value of the car or 80% of the value of the car, so you'd have to pay 20% up front. Black Horse would pay the rest, but you had to send the logbook off to Black Horse or send them a photocopy of the logbook, and they would send the money into your bank. Great. So we start selling these cars, and and then it's a bit strange. So we're knocking the prices down. It's 12,995. It's like a month later, it's like 11,995. We've only sold one more, and we're like got another 20 cars. We've got another 15 cars there, and we're like, fucking hell, what are we gonna? And we get to the point where we because it's so bad, we're hiding some of the cars because we're like, we don't want people to come on the pitch and see all these cars that we're not selling, because the pitch wasn't massive either. You probably only fit 50 cars on it. So got these Vectras and it's just not selling. We're picking up the phone and we're asking people to come in who only bought a car 6 months ago. Come and change your car, we'll give you the best deal ever. It's a brand new Vectra. And people are like, what?
Yeah.
You literally just sold me a car. I barely worked out how the fucking stereo works. You want me to part exchange it? So we're trying everything. And then he's done this with a load of other stuff, a load of other cars as well, but not in the same rate as the Vectra. And we're just not selling them. They're just not going. So we end up reducing. So we're getting towards the 10 grand mark now, similar to what they owe us after you've paid all the VAT and stuff. Fucking hell, it's a bit of a fucking problem, this. So this was the start of the end of College Motors. So he started selling cars, and whatever he sold, he wouldn't tell Black Horse that he'd sold them. So the idea is, with a stocking loan, is you sell the car, you put into the system. It was a computerized system, so you'd put all the details in the car that you sold, and then you would send the money back off to Black Horse, and then it was available for you to borrow again if you needed it, and you'd keep the profit.
Yeah.
No profit in these cars. So whenever he sold anything else, to keep the lights on, to pay the staff and to pay all of us all this mega money, and I was bought in on a mental, bearing in mind I was, 18, 19, 20, I can't remember how old I was, like very, very, very young. Just this was the catalyst for opening Cartech, because I didn't have a job. Because so he would sell cars, keep the money, pay all the staff and everything, didn't tell Black Horse, right? Dodgy as fuck, this guy. But that was a slippery slope, because we just weren't selling them quick enough to pay the bills. The money was going out the bank faster than it was coming in for all the cars. And he was making nervous decisions. Like, he bought some horrendous stuff from BCA, British Car Auctions. And I remember one of them was this Laguna that came in. And I took it off the transporter guy. Transport goes up with all these BCA cars. I drive it and it's fucked. Absolutely fucked. And I'm just looking at it and I'm like, you've got a $5 grand repair bill on this car before we can even retail it. Like, I'm like, and he's paid almost retail money for it because the markets were fucked. Everything was a pain. I was like, this is crazy. And so it got worse with it. So anyway, we started selling these cars off and stuff, and essentially Black Horse owned them all. All these cars that people were driving in North Wales, Black Horse owned them all. So then one day, his gangster mates from Stockport Diesel Centre. So he owned two big dealerships, one in Stockport and one in Llandudno, that was also called Stockport Diesel Centre. Dead weird. But he was a bit of a rogue, proper rogue, he had loads of money, all this sort of stuff. And he said to him, I will fill you up, because we ended up having no cars, because we couldn't lend any more off Black Horse, because we were already maxed. We couldn't buy any more at the right price. We didn't have any cash to go and buy any more. So this guy said he'll give us a load of cars on sale or return from Stockport or whatever that he couldn't sell. So just to help Simon
to get
out,
them on the forecourt.
Get them on the forecourt, sell some cars, you can keep a profit, you give us 25% of the profit. Great. So he gets all these cars in off this guy, maybe 10 cars, something like that. And we're still selling these Vectras one every now and then, but they're going for less than cost now, and we just... I'm just watching this ship sink at this point.
Yeah.
And there's one...
Was it obvious?
Oh, massive. There was one old boy, Welsh guy, that had worked for College Motors for years, and I felt so sorry for him because his world was being turned upside down by this rogue called Simon, who's a dodgy bastard. And these other cars came in, and he got the logbooks for them and everything, and he applied to Black Horse for an extension for an increase on his limit, and stocked all these cars. So he pretended that he'd bought them, but he hadn't bought them. He'd been given them sale or return, and he took out loans on all of the cars. So 80% of the value of these 10 cars he got into the bank, pretending that he'd just been out and bought them. So Black Horse give him all this money, everything's okay, we've got money, it's all that sort of stuff. But he doesn't own these fucking cars. He hasn't paid anything for them. This is like seriously fucking sketchy shit. This guy's bought them. This guy owns them. He's got.
So when he sells one of these 10 cars,
yeah,
he's only ever going to get 25% of the profit back.
Well, he'd be getting 75, wouldn't he?
Right, 75%. But how much has he taken out of the loan on each one?
So
I'm just trying to do the numbers because
it's very complicated.
It's sinking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's complicated. So what you've got to imagine is, say if a car's 10 grand, right? Yeah. Simon has gone to Black Horse and said, I've just bought this car, I've paid 2 grand, you need to give me the 8. The car's worth 10 grand, I've paid the 2 grand, you give me the 8 and we'll pay BCA or whoever he said he bought them from. And cover the cost of the car, and then when we sell it, 8 grand goes back to BCA, we get our 2 grand back for our next car plus any profit. Great. But obviously I haven't bought them. This guy had paid money for these cars. He already owned them. This other guy, this rogue from the Stockport Diesel Centre, he might have had a stocking loan on them. I don't think he did because he had loads of money, so I think he just bought cars cash. So and then we started selling them. And it's a case that we can't really pay because we need the money to turn the lights on, so we can't really pay Black Horse back either for these fucking cars. Like, fucking hell. And then I could see this guy falling apart, just mentally falling apart, shaking all the time, sweating, tie was all of a sudden not, done up properly, just a real stressed guy, like. And then one day this big black new American pickup, like a Dodge Ram, bursts onto the forecourt like at a fucking rate or not, slams on right outside. And these 4 guys get out of it who were the hardest looking 4 blokes you've ever seen in your fucking life, right? Burst into the showroom. Where's Simon? And we're like, upstairs in his office. And you just hear the boom, door slam and like, fucking out. And these guys march off upstairs. Loads of shouting, loads of everything. I'm like, fucking hell. So me and the other sales guy and then the receptionist, we walk into the workshop where there's about 5 mechanics working and all this other stuff. And we're like, and the mechanics are like, well, they're going, oh shit, like, I need to get all my tools together. This is it. This is game over. Like, they're going to fucking batter Simon here. Like, they're taking his kneecaps. We're fucked. So they all start disappearing, and it's just chaos. Yeah, it was at the age I was.
Is this a film?
Yeah, at the age I was, this was incredible to watch. To see it unfold, because I had no stake in this whatsoever. I already wanted to go and do my own thing. Because I saw that cheap part exchanges were selling. That's what Cartech was built on, was cheap part exchanges, like 1,500 quid, 2 grand cars. Amazing. The whole of the story. But anyway, so this is fucked up. So this guy comes and he's like, right, you're going to fucking give us the money. And it sounds like, yeah, I've got the money, I'll give it to you. So they go. So we talk these guys round, So he comes out and he's like, shaking. He's like, everything's okay, don't worry about it for now, don't worry about it, it's okay. They just, we need to send them money. And he didn't have any money to send these fucking guys, Didn't have any money to pay Black Horse, nothing. So then, a couple of days later, or a day later, so mad timing, 2 transporters arrive, empty, right? And guys with clipboards in suits from Black Horse.
Oh.
So they tip up and they're like, we need to do an audit. And everybody's just like looking at that, and you can see he's just white. He's like absolute white, and he's like, oh fuck. And they're like, right, show us all your logbooks. Gets all the fucking logbooks, and like, where's these 25 cars? He's like, where's the 25 logbooks? Where are they? Where is everything? And he's like, just hold them and pocket the money. And they were like, okay, everything on a transporter now. So they take every vehicle on our forecourt. So they empty our forecourt. Massive
forecourt. Including Dodgy Man?
Yeah. So all of the cars from the forecourt start getting loaded onto this transporter, including 5 or 6 of dodgy American pickup Stockport Diesel Centres cars.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
And at this point, my desk's packed. The other guys are but this is it. We've got no more cars to sell.
You got your parachute on.
Yeah.
You're in the doorway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is it. We've got no more cars to sell. They've taken all the cars. So Simon comes down then. Right. So we are going to have to go home. Like, we can't. This is it. It's game over. Yeah. So that was that. I had a 2.2 Amiga as a company car at that point. I took that and I kept it for 2 or 3 months, I think, because I parked it on the road down the way and nobody said anything about it, so I just kept on to this Amiga. It was a cheap car. It was worth like £2,000, £3,000, so I just fucking kept it. And I took it and just dropped it off and posted the keys a few months later because I didn't want to get in trouble. But yeah, so the last thing I heard was that these guys had essentially kidnapped Simon, taken him away, and just completely fucking, like, I don't know what they did to him. I didn't hear anything about it. Stockport guys had come in and fucking done something to this guy, and that was it. He disappeared.
That is fantastic.
Amazing. But the mad thing was...
horrific. I mean, you know...
absolutely. For the dealership as well, it was so sad, because College Motors was bouncing at one point. It was a great place. And that's the only reason I went there, because I thought, yeah, we can make a really good dealership out of this. Right next to B&Q and Tesco. It was a fucking perfect location. But the last thing I heard is he's such a fucking horrible bastard. He'd set up a car dealership in Mona on Anglesey in his daughter's name. Everything was in his daughter's name, and he was in control of it all. And his daughter was only like 18.
Mona
or
Airfield.
No, it was at Star. Have you heard of Star?
Yeah, I know.
It was at Star. Yeah. So a dealership at Star. And he was just trading under his daughter's name, and he was just like, nobody ever saw sight or sound of him again. He probably was in a wheelchair. I don't know. But that was that, like it. But it was just, I'd love to like write a book about the whole thing, because it was just so fucking crazy to watch all that happen, and to see these people in suits come and take all of your cars, go from a full forecourt, one by one, just being loaded onto this transporter.
Absolutely amazing.
Cool, that, isn't it?
That's a good Christmas story, isn't it?
So what's the moral of that story? Is there a moral?
Don't be an arse, really, isn't it? Surely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad decisions in there.
Yeah, a lot of bad decisions. I think as well he was just really good at talking. He was just like, that's all. That's his whole thing was just like, I can sell this car, so therefore I can run this massive company.
Don't you think there are talkers and doers, and if you get people who can do both, they're pretty much set for life? But there are
like you and I.
I did not mean that. Absolutely was not bigging me or you up. But there are people who are just full of hot air.
Yeah,
they're just good at that, and you just think.
He was such a weapon. I wish I could find a picture of him, because he looked. If you've got an image in your
like
head,
Swiss Tony.
No, he's like 7 foot, bald, skinny. And he always wore white, ill-fitting clothes all the time. Glasses, just a real. Just like when you looked at him, you're just like, I don't trust you fucking at all, at all.
And you went to work for him.
So it's a whole other story. But the reason I went to work for him is because. Essentially, he offered me 30 grand a year basic plus a Mercedes SLK 320 as a company car, which I got for about 3 months.
Right.
And then it went slightly worse car, slightly worse car, slightly worse car, slightly worse car, until I was in a 3 grand Amiga.
Did he pay you?
I got paid for 3 months, and then it was dramatically reduced, but it was only a month or so after that it went bust.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like long enough to be paid. But I saw one day he was one of those guys that shows off quite a lot. So he was like always money and watches and just like, I've got this fucking little Vectras and, just like, look at this deal I just did, that kind of guy, like real fucking ball bag. And he showed me what he got paid once, and he was paying himself something like 4 grand a week. Something like that, and it was just like there was no way this would ever work. This is a tiny little dealership in Bangor, and he just rinsing it.
So there are people who make loads of money and legitimately and deserve to. But what was the nice thing, the leveller about? You're right.
I'm just going to Google College Motors Bangor.
Oh, go on, do that. This is good for for Spotify, isn't it? Ben is literally Googling on his phone.
So it's still going as College Motors.
Yeah, brilliant.
So from what I remember of it, that's a picture of it there. Look.
Is that just next to the wine place?
I think so. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, know where that is.
But the
what used to be Blockbusters opposite.
Yeah, I think. But the guy that owned it, I think, because he owned the building and everything, nothing happened to that, and I think he started again. So he'd gone to retire, this guy, and he was letting someone take over. This was his retirement, so he let him loose in his dealership, and he just destroyed it. So I think this guy came back, probably put a load more money into it, and then ran it properly, and it's probably still running okay now. I was going to see if there's anything on the news, Simon College. Anyway, go on.
One of the nice things about being in a world where you can't get into it by luck and bluster. Do you know what I mean? You're right. It's so because you have to go through an aptitude and a selection process to do what we did.
Yeah.
So because of that, you can't pay to do it.
This is
so
it.
Every now and again, you get people who, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but you get people come along to, we'd have a summer ball, all that sort of stuff, and they'd be giving it Rolex, Rolex, Ferrari stuff. And honestly, when you're in your 20s and you're flying a jet, you don't care. It's like, mate, you'll never go as fast as we go, and you'll never do you'll never be able to pay to do what we do. And that was something. It's like, we get paid a pittance compared to you. It's a good living. But it was a very, very good wage. But that whole there was never any jealousy from any of us about people, like doing the whole flash thing, because it's like
he was a very flat, and he built a lot of his what he would tell people was his experience and that he was good at stuff from a brand new car dealership, so it's selling brand new Seats, and the world of retailing brand new cars is very different to the world of retailing second-hand cars, because with brand new cars you get back-end money. Back-end money, again, is a whole half an hour chat. It's fascinating what Volkswagen will pay you and Seat will pay you. If you when you get mystery shopped, if you get a good score on mystery shop, they'll give you an extra percentage of money. If you get if you sell like a certain amount of cars in a month, if you pre-reg a certain amount of cars, if you do all this stuff, you get extra money. You get extra money for loads of different things. Used cars, it's the profit in the car, and that's it. You can maybe try and upsell some SuperGuard and all this sort of stuff, and insurance, tyre insurance, and all this bollocks. That was it. That's all your money. So he built his legacy off being, I'm so amazing because I look at all this. I'm so good at brand new cars. Second-hand guys, massively different ball game. Very hard to make it work, and I've got so much admiration for second-hand car dealerships that do so well, because it's tough, it's tough.
Surely if there's longevity in it, they're genuinely all right. They'll look after their customers, because otherwise there's no longevity. People get to know, word of mouth is everything, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And if if it's a good dealership and you've got a good if at the end of the transaction, if you're smiling as the dealership and the customer's smiling as a customer, you've done it. You've absolutely nailed it. If you're both happy, customer's happy, dealership's happy. If the customer's happy and the dealership's not because they've lost money, it's not going to work. If the dealership's happy because the customer's not because the car's shit, it's not going to work. So you both have to be happy, and I think that's really hard. And if you can get that right, they'll come to you again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
So that's
good, isn't it? I love how our two worlds sort of overlap a lot.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, probably to finish this up, but I wouldn't change a thing. I've made loads of mistakes, but I've enjoyed the world I've been in so far.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Would you change anything? I mean, you can look back and go, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But would you change anything?
No, not at all. I think I've really enjoyed everything that I've done. I've got, the experiences have been so interesting to me, because I've always loved cars and just everything about cars, and including that whole world, which after being in it for so long, I started to really resent the corporate world of selling cars and stuff. I fucking hate it now. It's again, we could talk about it for days, but it's just a sour place to be. It's not nice. But when you're young and you don't you care more about yourself and your path than sort of maybe the longevity of things, because everything's fleeting, isn't it, when you're young? And you're like, that's why young drivers tend to be such idiots, because I've only had my license for 12 months, so I don't give a shit. You know? But for me now, it's like I drive really safely, and I do everything because I've got so much stake. You know. So I think I wouldn't change anything, and I think I've made tons of mistakes. Cartech failed massively. You know, Cartech went massively to the dogs, and it was a huge problem. Again, we can go through. I don't mind telling you about all the bad things that I did and all the ways that I drove that place into the ground. And some of it was luck, but the majority of it was me just being a bit shit and being young and foolish. But
I always think that you're either, it's not a mistake. You're not doing well or not doing well. You're either learning, or you're winning. So you're either moving forward. But surely you fail yourself forward anyway.
100%. The failures that I made and
it doesn't matter.
I learned so much from stuff going wrong, because you're like, don't do that again. Don't buy fucking Freelanders and stuff like that.
Or Discoveries.
Fuck, that's a different story altogether. I don't think we touched on how bad that is, but anyway.
I think we did. I think that's a good place to end.
Fucking hell, 2 hours.
I know.
It's good. We should
I enjoyed that.
Drink more often, shouldn't we?
I enjoyed that.
It was really good, and I hope you guys listening enjoyed it as well. And just, if you did, please give us a subscribe, give us a like. If you listen on Spotify, click the favourited episode, or click whatever it is that you click on Spotify, just to rise us up the ranks now, because people are finding us all the time, and it's really, really interesting to see. I really, really hope you enjoyed it. And any comments about any of it, if you recognise any of the things we've been talking about, if you've got any stories yourself, leave them in the comments. Let us have a read as well. Let us, we can discuss them next time and stuff like that. It's very, very interesting for us to hear your feedback and any questions directly for us. That'd be great.
Definitely.
See you next time.
Cheers.
Oh, and Merry Christmas.
A very Merry Christmas.